is TAC Talk, Teens Advancing Conversation.
Welcome to today's episode of TAC Talk. I'm Anaya.
And I'm Ryan. Today we're going to be interviewing Mike Hein, City Manager of Groveland. How are you today?
Great, thanks for having me.
So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am someone who's worked in government, local government, for about 30 years now. Still enjoy it. Originally from Wisconsin, spent most of my career in Arizona, and now I'm in the wonderful sunshine state of Florida.
So what brought you to Florida? Because that's a lot of different states to go to. Why here?
I chose Florida. I was in a relationship, and she built contemporary art museums, and that market is a very small niche one, and there was an opportunity in Sarasota. I came out and visited and thought, wow, what a great place.
Interesting. So you mentioned you're originally from Milwaukee. I saw that you went to the University of Wisconsin. How did your experience in school prepare you for local government in your career?
Well, I was fortunate enough to go to a school that focused on public administration and actually had a specialization in small cities analysis. So I think it equipped me well enough. And one of the requirements was an internship. And what I found as a young person, feeling out in industry, if you will, it's always good to work in the industry and get that practical experience. So that really helped me out.
So what do you do on a day-to-day basis as city manager?
Oh, the beautiful thing about a city manager is there are no 2 days that are the same. It's anything from meeting with police chiefs or fire chiefs or elected officials, finance directors. Every day is a little bit different, dealing with constituent concerns, potholes, and the issue of the day. So that's what makes my job exciting, is no 2 days are the same.
Interesting. So you're the city manager of Groveland. I know that Groveland is a very fast-growing city around here. So what are your long-term plans for Groveland as a city manager?
Well, when I came to Groveland, I said that they were putting pieces of the puzzle together without the benefit of the cover of the box. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm not good at putting puzzles together unless I know what they're supposed to look like. So for a long-term goal, it would be to help the community have those conversations and articulate that vision for the future, and then work to implement that.
Interesting.
Did you always think you would want to be in city management, or what did you want to be when you were younger?
Yeah, I don't know what I wanted to be, and I'm still evolving and trying to figure that out. I certainly never woke up one day and said I want to be a city manager. It's just something I've done for a long time and enjoy.
Yeah, interesting. So I saw that you've taken some executive courses at Harvard for their executive programs. How do you feel like that translated into experience as city manager position?
Sure. Well, the program at Harvard was geared towards senior executives in local government, so you got to partner with colleagues from across the country. And it was interesting to hear their challenges and perspectives and do some case studies.
You've been doing this for 30 years, you said? So how have you seen Groveland change over the years?
Yeah, I've been with Groveland 4 years now, and when I started, the population has approximately doubled since I started, which is just an enormous rate of growth. And I think, again, there's a degree of sophistication, elevation, and aspiration, because Groveland was coming out of a period where the citrus industry kind of suffered. So it was a bit stagnated, and we've seen a tremendous amount of investment in the community, especially from a commercial industrial, and that's starting to change the complexion and the trajectory.
Yeah, interesting. So I know that you've managed larger cities like Arizona, and you've managed smaller cities like Groveland that are currently growing at a fast rate. How do you feel like that differs, managing a larger city versus a smaller city?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have had the benefit of managing small, medium, and large size organizations, anywhere from like 100 employees to 6,000 employees. They all have the same challenges, but I enjoy smaller to medium-sized communities because there's a higher degree of intimacy that can be developed with the public and your staff members.
Yeah.
Well, we have one more question for you. Do you have any tips for success for people that also want to get into city management?
I think some tips or some things I would encourage people to do would be explore. Call people like me, call the local city manager, come to local council meetings, experience what that local government system is like, and ask if you can be an intern. Because we're always welcoming young talent.
I did actually want to ask one more question. So the city, I feel like a lot of people, want to get involved in the city but may not know how.
Mhm.
What's your advice essentially for
Sure.
getting involved, getting your opinion heard?
Great question, because for anyone who thinks you can't change City Hall, they haven't tried.
Mhm.
I've seen individuals change the course of policy and directions of municipalities throughout my career. Great ways to get involved and exposed are to come to some of our events. We have a farmers market every Friday morning, and we have events every second Friday downtown at Lake David Park. Find out who your local elected representative is on the city council and connect with them, or come to a council meeting.
Interesting. I know that your, partner has some involvement with Ringling, the College of Art and Design. I know that that's, a very prominent art college that we have in Florida. What are your experiences with that? How do you feel like it's impacted you,
Just being exposed to the creative class and artists at different levels of their career, and seeing their struggles and seeing their passion and seeing how it can impact people's lives and the feelings that sometimes are emoted, coupled with the social justice issues that sometimes come out through the art, and the allowance of having some conversations that I normally wouldn't have with myself.
Right.
And for those who don't know, what exactly is a city manager?
That's a great question, because not everybody knows. People think I'm the mayor, and I'm like, no, I get paid a little more than the mayor. A city manager form of government is where the chief elected officials, the mayor and the council, set the policy, and then a manager implements. So I'm responsible for the day-to-day operations of all the administration and the departments. So police chiefs, fire chiefs, finance directors. Again, the overall responsibility for the day-to-day falls to the city manager.
Right. So how do you feel like your role has evolved over time, from your roles in, Arizona, for example,
Sure.
to, maybe your roles here? How do you feel like that's evolved, and how do you feel like your leadership style, for example, may have changed?
That's a good question. I do believe in contextual leadership. So the responsibilities or the tasks or the efforts that I have to put forth change from location to location and period to period. I say that municipalities and communities are like kids in some ways. Having had some, they grow up at different rates, go through different phases. So even in Groveland, my roles changed from originally having to do some of the day-to-day things, and as the staff has grown, it's more working, and I talk to staff about the need to get on the balcony and off the dance floor. Because if you're on the dance floor every day, you can't see the overall orchestra or the overall ballet. So every once in a while, you got to get up top and kind of see the bigger picture, and I think that's where my position is evolving in Groveland right now.
So like a top-down perspective?
Well, I wouldn't say top down. It's more of a opportunity to think long view, long term, because the day to day is working fairly well. Knock on wood.
Yeah. Is there anything that you could tell us that's going to be happening in Groveland in the future?
There's no big surprises that I get to announce. Those things go to mayor and councils to announce the good stuff. But I think you're going to see an implementation of a strategic plan. A lot of people are concerned about the growth, and I appreciate that. They say the traffic is getting worse and there are no solutions. Groveland just adopted an overall strategic plan and updated their comprehensive plan. So of the 55 square miles we're responsible for planning in, 60% of that is going to remain open space. So we can keep that sensitivity to the environment and also that sense of decompression, and that's why the city of Groveland is the city with natural charm.
Right, there you go. So I know that, Groveland's downtown space has been growing at a rapid rate. What are your plans as far as, I know that we have a lot of, residential areas being built there. What are your plans for centralizing that area as far as, a place where people can come together?
Yeah, fantastic question. That's one of the things and opportunities that I see with the city that excites me for the future. For about 14 years, they've planned what's called a bypass, or to take all the truck traffic out of the downtown area, because for those of you who have been there, you get caught up behind trucks because those roads weren't designed for semis. So there is planned an alternative route around the downtown, which will move 50 to the north. And once that happens, you're going to see an opportunity to completely reinvest and redevelop into a walkable, livable downtown. So really excited for that to happen.
Thank you so much for joining us today. To end off the episode, we'd just like you to ask us each one of our own questions.
Sure. I'm fascinated and have been a supporter of Thrive and love the spirit, the energy. What do you find most rewarding? What have you gotten from being part of the organization?
Yeah, so I can start. I think that Miss Sherry, an executive leader of our organization, she really makes sure that the teenagers are involved in a lot of the decision making. Like you were saying, getting involved with the decision making of cities. I feel like, Thrive is, kind of a much smaller scale example of that, with challenges of its own. And, I've been a student that's served on the strategic planning committee, for example. Those are things that, you get exposed to that you wouldn't get exposed to otherwise. And I think that the opportunities that Thrive provides are unparalleled as far as opportunities as for teenagers. And, like you were saying, it teaches you to get involved, and it raises those leaders that, could change trajectories, could, impact things. And that's one thing that I really like about our organization.
Yeah, I would definitely have to agree with you, especially in the opportunity aspect. I feel like for a long time I wanted to get opportunities to where I could meet people like you, Chief Broadway. We met Mayor Wilson, and we got to interview all these people that really affect the community, and I really appreciate that aspect of it.
Yeah, that's great exposure. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining us on TAC Talk. If you want to follow us, you can follow our Instagram or our Facebook at Thrive Claremont, or you can go to our website, thriveclaremont.org. Okay.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe. We're a growing channel, so don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you. I'm a professional.